it's more relevant now than it ever has been. So this is Eric Vierthaler of Vierthaler Studios back again for the next episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I'm here with my co-host, Ty from Junebug Films, and we're here with our next special guests. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Steve Staley from Cheshire, England. New film producer, actor, and a few other things as well. But,
awesome.
Yeah.
I am Natasha Tosini. I am from Nottingham. I'm 25. I'm about to turn 26. And
Awesome.
I am primarily an actor. However, same as Steve, I've just done my first producing, directing, writing job.
Awesome. Well, I just want to wish you a happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, certainly, of course, anytime. So yeah, so how about that you tell my audience like about this movie that you two made?
Do you want to go, Chop?
Okay, so it's called Viral Haunt, and it's basically, I'll tell you the very small summary. It's basically a movie about some famous YouTubers, like influencers type of people. Sorry, there's 6 of them all together, and they're called the Haunt Hunters. And they started their channel when there was just 2 of them, and then they started adding friends as they went along. And they were basically like Most Haunted. Have you seen Most Haunted?
I have heard of it, but I don't believe I have seen it though.
Okay, so yeah, Most Haunted. It's basically a channel where ghost hunters go to like the most haunted places and they film it, and you'll hear like banging and you'll see things flying across the room or whatever. They obviously got a large audience because of that, but they realized that if they fake things, they're going to get more views, which means more money, and they can kind of do that as their main income sort of thing. So instead of doing it legitimately and just looking for the bangs and the real ghosts, they started faking stuff. But their audience became critical of the things that they were doing, and a lot of people didn't believe them anymore. So they got pushed to doing something which caused the film.
All right, cool. Awesome. Yeah,
they basically follow them, don't we, and see how they deal with like proper hauntings. So that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just knowing that you two made a horror movie, like, about the whole concept of social media and the internet, I mean, it really, truly does sound like a really cool concept, especially nowadays with the advent of Facebook and Instagram. I mean, it's more relevant now than it ever has been. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. We added a lot of little things to do with that end as well, didn't we, Steve? Like, Steve definitely wanted specific things like that. Like, he wanted to see how famous they were and really be like he wanted the viewer to be immersed in that like fame for them, and how much the internet has changed their lives. You see in a lot of development of the characters as well. So before they were famous and before they had this like title, a lot of the characters were completely different to they are now. So for example, I won't give too much away, but Jake, for example, is one of the main characters played by Jack Hoy. Before he became famous, he was a really nice guy. He was best friends with Richard. He was in a relationship with Belle, who I play, and everyone got along really well. He was a really, really sweet, down-to-earth guy, but the fame kind of took over, and then you kind of see him change because of that, along with the other characters.
Yeah, it's one of the things I always wanted. I always wanted to remind the viewer, these are YouTubers or these are influencers. These are like, so some of them especially are immersed in their own lives. Like they constantly want to be filming themselves and stuff. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I wanted to take the audience on that journey, and
especially certain brothers that
on
YouTube that may or may not rig fights.
Oh yeah, that was definitely rigged. The last one.
Hey, we're just saying allegedly, right?
In my opinion,
in
my opinion, that was rigged anyway. But who knows?
And so question for you, Natasha, about your character Belle. So I watched one interview that you did. I can't remember who it was with, but you were saying something like about how Beauty and the Beast was like a dream role of yours, and I noticed your character's name. I can't help but wonder, is that just a coincidence, or was that intended, like, for you to name your character Belle? or what?
So it is intended. I chose
It's
the
our
names for the
show.
characters. So I obviously chose my name to be Belle. We had a few changes along the way of the names and stuff. So me and Steve chose them together. But yeah, my name stayed the same as Belle throughout. I obviously, like you said, my dream role has always been Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and I've been so lucky because there's a film coming out called First of Them All, and I get to play Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So I've been
Yes.
so excited. That's why I dyed my hair, because obviously I was blonde up until recently, which is why I'm now brunette. And I was obsessed. After I did that role, I was so obsessed. I've got like pictures of Belle. I've got a Belle key ring.
That's so
I was like,
awesome.
honestly, I was so obsessed. I was thinking about changing my name to Belle. And then I was like talking
Wow.
myself out of it, like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. So yeah, I had to call myself Belle.
Well,
That is dedication. And I mean, knowing that you almost changed your name to Belle, and I mean, doing all that paperwork, paying all that money for it. Man.
how many different versions of the fairy tale have you seen of Beauty and the Beast? You know.
So I've seen 2 different versions of it. I've also read the book.
Yeah.
I know there's other books, and I'm pretty sure there is other versions of it.
There.
But yeah, I was just obsessed with her and her character and the way she is, and like the story of it, and even the like original story, how it's a little bit different and stuff. But yeah, I was just obsessed, and I think she's just such a beautiful person.
Wow.
I just so wanted her to have a happy ending, and obviously I wanted to play the happy version of Belle, where she gets a happy ending, but I played the Fairest of them All version, where I was like a murderer, which is fine, you know, beggars can't be choosers, but
Yeah.
Well,
Spoiler alert.
well, I mean,
Roll.
not to promote stuff that I'm doing. I'm actually trying to write all of the classic fairy tales, and I want to do an animation style like Disney and everything. So, but I love the George C. Scott version of Beauty and the Beast.
I don't know which one that is.
I think it was made in '76, and George C. Scott.
Oh, is that the animation?
No, it was
the drawing.
No, it was live action.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one.
It's pretty good.
I don't think I have.
Well, George C. Scott is just one of those
I have
actors that he can just touch a movie and he makes it better. So,
Oh, really?
Wow.
And there's so many different versions of Beauty and the Beast. I did a lot of research on the classic fairy tales, and Beauty and the Beast is one of the less darker ones, really. So
That's surprising. I mean,
Yeah.
considering that a lot of the original fairy tales, especially like the Little Mermaid, that one's really dark. I like in that one, instead of losing her voice, like she gets her tongue cut off, and how at the very end, like she actually watches Prince Eric like get married to Ursula while she dies. I'm like, that is so brutal.
man, Eric, you're such an you're asshole.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, I'm just saying, like, how the original story goes.
Well, especially the original version of Little Red Riding Hood. That one is dark.
Yeah.
We interpret it as a wolf on modern interpretations. But wolf back then meant predator. So meaning basically he was a predator and I'm going after Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh my, yeah,
I never knew that.
No, you read the original, some of the early versions of those fairy tales, and it's like these are meant for children.
It is. A lot of the earlier versions are a bit dark, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, in some ways, maybe that's kind of a good thing, because look at kids with social media now. They need to kind of have a little bit of moral things, you know.
Yeah, and so then in that case, I guess that when Natasha did the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, I guess that you could argue that what she did actually was more faithful, like to all these original fairy tales in the first place. So
don't take Winnie the Pooh's honey.
Yeah. Or else he's gonna get rumbly in his tummy. So for your new film, what exactly inspired you, like, with this awesome concept?
I think it was a few things. One of the things was from the demands of the executive producers, because they liked the idea, which was originally Natasha's. so we pitched quite a few ideas to them about what type of films we would like to make, and they said that was their favorite. And then we went into developing your idea, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we both had some of our own thoughts that would like to be included in the film. It's not massively gory film. Like, we're not massively into those type of horror films, but we made it into something we would like to watch ourselves.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it might be a bit different to a lot of horror films, but then again, how different can it be? You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that we've made something, you know, groundbreaking. It's just obviously the film's in post-production. It's not finished yet, but I do generally think it'll be a good film when it's finished, which is all I want. I want to make sure you know, the product is good, you know, for people to watch and enjoy and have fun with. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's because nobody ever wants to put in all that hard work and all that time into something that they know is gonna suck. So
Yeah. We
Yeah.
had a lot of
Sorry,
fun
guys.
making
I'm just
them.
gonna have to. Sorry, I'm just gonna take the baby monitor into the other room if that's okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Carry on.
That's okay.
So
Leave
yeah,
them in your
basically,
pajamas.
good.
Totally fine.
So yeah, it was developing. It was developing a movie that the executive producers wanted, but also putting on our own bits, our own things that we would like to see in the film.
Okay, cool. And so then in that case, would you say that this film is more of like a psychological horror film then?
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really feel like it's those horror movies like that really do stick with your head for the longest time. I mean, I argue that the original Human Centipede is more psychological than any of the sequels. And that one really stuck with me. It's because a lot of it's more so implied than it is shown. And that one, forever stuck with me in my head. And and as soon as I said the name of that movie, I mean, just Natasha's reaction, it's justifiable.
Well, you have an unhealthy obsession with that movie. It seems like you seem to talk about every other podcast.
It's just that it just really stuck with my head, and it just really shows the psychological aspect of it. So,
hey, Eric, if you start mentioning it, I'm gonna have to call the nice man on my coats. Okay.
What I would say is, I think it's quite a lot of fun. I think so, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's lots of moments in the film where there's like jump scares, but there's also quite good character development. We wanted some character development, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we wanted people's reactions and actual words mean something, rather than just being loads of throwaway lines that mean nothing. Like, there was dynamics going on with different characters. There was like hidden relationships going on between people in different rooms and stuff. It was. It's a bit. I think people will watch it and think it's quite funny.
Yeah. Well, you know. Yeah. Well, one movie that even I was going to say that I've always argued is one of my favorite horror movies, and that people don't even consider it a horror movie, but it has horror elements and more psychological horror. The original Gojira.
Yeah.
From 1954, because think about it. You know, you're actually watching you're watching a creature that is made from a nuclear bomb, and from a country that experienced it firsthand. It kind of adds that layer of darkness, and then Ishiro Honda he was going to drop his bomb and everything, but then it malfunctioned. So then basically, Japanese culture back then, they had to, just dive bomb. He didn't want to do that because he wanted to live.
Well, understandable, because people want to live.
He was considered a traitor by his own country, but he literally, in his office at Toho, he literally had his mortar shell in his office.
Wow.
That failed on him. And you read the stories about like the original Gojira and just have that. It really has that it's one of those very true horror movies. I've said it really captures that just sense of dread and psychological horror. So I've often said that's one of my favorites. So.
Oh, I've not seen that film. Have you
No,
not
me
seen it,
neither,
Natasha?
no.
I don't know if I don't know. It's at least in the U.S. It's on Max. So.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and well, again, in the US, I know that they do have it on Tubi, and they also do have it on YouTube, like for free. I don't know if it's that way in the UK or not, but I guess you only can find out one way, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the UK, we've only, am I right in saying this? Have we only got like Amazon, Netflix, and YouTube? We don't really have these other ones, do we? Or are they available?
I think you
like
can get
Tubi,
them.
for
You can
example.
get like I think you can get Hey Tubi, but you have to like stream them. I think. Like I don't think
Well,
you definitely
TV,
can't get them on TV.
Well, we'll throw. Maybe we'll throw you guys a bone. We'll find a way to give it to you.
Yeah.
So,
Certainly.
I guess so, without saying it specifically, but did you guys base a little bit of Viral Hunt on some, of the more infamous YouTubers that we're not going to mention on the podcast because we don't want to throw some people under the bus. So
I don't know. What did you, Tash? Because it was your idea, really, wasn't it?
To be honest, I didn't really have anyone in mind when I made the characters. Like there wasn't someone that I thought, oh, this person is like this or anything like that. They might have similarities now, just because obviously one of the characters is really funny and some YouTubers are funny. One of them's a bit of a dick. Some YouTubers are dicks. So yeah, they might have similarities and you might think some of them are like each other, but they weren't intended to be.
Yeah, and when we were writing it, we never actually said, did we, this character's in fact, the character that I played, we changed him quite a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
I kept on asking questions like, what am I doing in this film? Like, what's my character doing? Like, why would I be hanging around with these people? Do you know what I mean? I was desperately trying to find ways for it to make sense to me.
Well, Eric, yeah. I hope we're one of the good YouTubers.
You are.
I would hope so. Yeah.
I would hope so. I mean,
I was definitely one of the good ones.
Some people might call me a dick, but I try not to be.
Oh right, you. Yeah. No, I'm sure.
So yeah. So Natasha, so knowing that this was your first movie that you directed, did you decide to direct it because it was your idea or what?
So me and Steve both directed it in different scenes. When I was on screen, Steve directed. When he was on screen, I directed. If we were both off screen, we both kind of shared it. It was a lot easier for me to direct because obviously it was my idea. So I'd already seen it in my head, like playing out. Do you know what I mean? When you think of a story, you see it in your head happening. So I'd already seen the entire film play out 100 times in my head. So I knew how I wanted it to go. Whereas for Steve, obviously, he didn't have that because I'd like created it and picked it apart and stuff. So it was a bit harder for Steve. But yeah, I guess we did it together. We've both got different skills. And we both smashed it, I think.
So this was like a Toby Hooper and Spielberg situation where you guys both directed it?
I don't know who that is. Who's that?
Toby Hooper and Steven Spielberg when they directed Poltergeist.
Oh, did they direct it together?
Well, maybe.
I didn't even know that.
Well, there's a little bit of debate on it, but in my opinion, I would say that they both did. Even though that Toby Hooper was the one who primarily got the credit for it. I mean, you could definitely see that Spielberg touch to it. So because of that, I argue that they both did.
Yeah. So do you? I guess for question for both of you, since obviously you guys are directors now. What are some dream projects you want to direct?
We've got some ideas, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'd like to do some action movies, mate. I've got, I wouldn't mind doing a boxing movie, a bit of a boxing fan. I wouldn't mind doing some action movies, a bit like James Bond style films.
Or maybe play James Bond.
Play James Bond,
Yeah.
That's one thing as well.
Hey, come on, let's hear it. Bond, James Bond, right?
James Bond, and I think that's something I want to cover. I mean, I've done loads of horror movies now. Obviously, I've only made one horror film, but I've been an actor in many of them, and they're great. Okay. But I wouldn't mind trying something a bit different at some point.
Okay.
But yeah.
And maybe Natasha could be a Bond girl.
Yeah. I'll be the hero or the villain.
But to be honest, I think we're going to have loads of ideas we're going to develop over the next 12 months. Even just, do you know what I mean? Like, we will do, won't we?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, to be honest, right now, I just like to make some more good films. Like, my goal for this year is to make quite a few more decent films, and that's it. It doesn't have to. It can be in any genre. It doesn't matter for me at the moment. But yeah, at some point, I wouldn't mind doing some action films.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, if the rumors are true right now, with the new James Bond stuff, Eon Productions might be, they might not have MGM be part of James Bond right now because reportedly, allegedly, the Broccolis aren't getting along with Amazon right now. So that's why there's the delay with the James Bond movies right now. So
have they not picked a new James Bond yet? No,
they haven't.
No.
Oh, I mean, I have a couple choices. I mean,
like who?
I'd add you to the short list.
Alrighty,
I'll be on the list. Yeah.
And heck, especially if they go back to Ian, Fleming.
All right.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, James Bond is in the public domain, but only in Canada
and England.
Oh, I actually was not a.
Well, yes, because English and England and Canada are part of the same.
I thought Bond goes into the public domain in about 5 or 6 years' time, or is that something else? Is it
public domain is
grey, isn't it? Yeah,
it's so interesting sometimes. I think it's in Canada he's public domain, and England because Ian Fleming died in 1964. So, what is it in England for public domain? Because I think it is 50 years. So. 1964, 60 years. So
yeah, I'm not in.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I'm not.
Talk to a lawyer.
I thought it was about 90 years, wasn't it?
I thought it was 95 or 96.
That's in America.
Oh, is it?
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I know for certain it's 95 years. It's because that when Winnie the Pooh in public domain, it was 95 years, and so yeah, I mean. I never once ever expected a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, but yet I can imagine that Natasha probably said the same thing.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Well, I guess what was your reaction when that was talked about? Because that's kind of what you're most known for. So
What was my reaction when I heard
you were
about Winnie the Pooh?
When you were offered the part.
You got the phone call. Hi.
Oh God. Do you know what? It was my first ever job as an actor.
Oh, it was?
My first ever professional job, yeah. So obviously it was great news and I was really excited to do it. When I first saw Winnie the Pooh on the casting thing, I thought it was for like a happy Winnie the Pooh. I didn't realise it was a horror movie. And then I read more into it and I was like, right, okay, I really don't know how this is going to go, but okay.
Was it?
And then they asked me to tape. Obviously I did, and then I got the role. And when I read the script, I was like, I really loved the script, but I was like, I don't know how they're going to do this. Like, is it going to be funny? Are they going to turn it into a comedy? Or is it going to be serious? Like, what's the bear going to look like? But again, it was my first film. So I was more excited to be doing a film than to be doing Winnie the Pooh. But the things that Winnie the Pooh brought me, like money couldn't buy. Like, I've met all of my friends because of Winnie the Pooh. I've met my boyfriend because of Winnie the Pooh. I've so many things. I never went abroad ever. I'd never been abroad when Winnie the Pooh was released. The first time I went abroad was to Mexico for the premiere. and then to Amsterdam for work for the other premiere, then to Germany for a convention, then back to Germany for another convention. Then I went to, God, I don't know, but everywhere that I'd been abroad up until this year
Los Angeles
was for work. So yeah, everything. I owe my entire life at this point to that film and Scott and Reese for casting me and like giving me a chance, even though that's my first film. And then me and Scott, we talk all the time. He introduced me to loads of people. They became like my best friends ever. He introduced me to Lewis. That's how me and Lewis met. So my whole life has been changed by that film.
Shout out to Tigger.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lewis.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, I believe I saw on Instagram that you and Lewis got like matching tattoos.
Yeah, we got matching 1111 on the back of our ankles. It's like we see it as like a soulmate thing. Like if we see 1111, it means like we're soulmates.
Oh,
So yeah.
Well,
that is so awesome.
well,
We've got quite a
had
few
some
tattoos for each other actually. We've got loads of matching tattoos now. So
yeah.
I got this one, bouncy bouncy.
Uh-huh. That's awesome.
well,
It says
Yeah,
bouncy bouncy ha ha ha. That's obviously for Tigger. Because in Winnie the Pooh 2, he has a line where he says bouncy bouncy. So I got this in LA at the premiere for Winnie the Pooh 2, and then he got it like the next day.
That's awesome.
I got this Minnie Mouse because he had the Mickey Mouse.
That makes sense.
yeah.
What else? I've got, this is his face. Wait, hang on.
Oh, that is cool.
That is
Is
pretty
that
cool.
the Mad Hatter chop?
Yeah,
Is
that's
it?
when he played the Mad Hatter. So yeah, that's him again. What else have I got for Lewis? I've got the 1111, obviously. I think that's it. He's got a rose on his bicep here, and it's like the rose out of Beauty and the Beast for my character Belle, obviously.
Well,
That is awesome.
that's awesome.
That
What does
is
1111 mean, chop? Craig's
So
asking.
we see it as like I've also got 222 and 777 on my ankles, and they're like angel numbers. So basically, if I see the number 222, I believe that the universe is telling me I'm on the right path. I know I sound nuts, but I believe that. And if I see 777, I believe the universe is telling me that something good's gonna happen.
Well,
So
I
me
guess
and Lewis, we're seeing like 1111 all the time, and we just believe that it means that we're soulmates and we're meant to be together.
oh, well, I guess it's better than having 666 tattooed on you. So
Yeah.
funny because it's like as if Ty read my mind. I was about to say the same thing, and it's ironic. It's because it's just right after 666.
so you know, so let's see. It sounds like Winnie the Pooh has just given a lot of blessings to you. So
yeah, definitely.
Who would have thought
my entire life has changed because of that film. Every film I did after that, I can probably credit to Winnie the Pooh. Every single friend I've got now, except for one childhood friend that I've got because of Winnie the Pooh. Obviously, my boyfriend I've got because of Winnie the Pooh. Literally everything I've got, my entire life has been shaped because of that film. I would never have met Steve if it wasn't for that film, because then we went on to do a different film together. So yeah.
And who would have thought a bear that got stuck in a cave would have given someone so much blessing?
I know, right?
Yeah. Man, it's funny because, not only did it give that to you, but also gave that to me. It's because that when I first heard about that movie, I thought it was a fan film, but it wasn't until later on when I found out that no, it's a real movie. And I'm like, how in the world are they how are they not getting sued? And then I did research. I'm like, oh, public domain. And then gave me the idea that, during my college semester, I'm way too busy to make all these videos on YouTube. So what I decided to do is to, throughout the whole semester, upload all these public domain movies onto my channel. And that really did explode my channel, like with so many more views and subscribers. And that would have never happened if it wasn't for that movie. So
Well, and then
Exactly.
That's good.
and then this guy wanted to jump in on the bandwagon of because what I like about the whole team, what they did is you guys kind of started a little movement. I jokingly with love like to call it gimmick horror now because it's a horror making a horror movie property out of like there's like what 500 Mickey Mouse horror movies now. There's
Speaking of which, I believe I saw on your IMDb, Natasha, that you actually are making one. I think it's called Mouseboat Massacre, I believe.
Yeah, so Steve's actually in one as well. So
Oh, cool.
Two of them,
yeah, there is so many mouse films. I did Mouse of Horrors with Steve and with Lewis, and then I did Mouseboat Massacre.
And then I think now there's a Popeye horror movie coming out because Popeye just became public domain.
Yeah.
Which I guess I found out that even though because it's the original comic, it's not the Fleischer version, but I guess the Fleischers they found out that Popeye eats spinach in this, so because in the Fleischers that's cartoons, that's he would eat spinach, but I think in the cartoons the comics he would like pet a goose or something, and that's how he would get his strength. So
I never knew that.
I guess the Fleischers
Pet a goose?
Yes. But I guess
From petting a goose to spinach, those are two completely different things.
but I guess they never trademarked eating spinach because I guess in the Popeye horror movie he's eating spinach. So, and now so that inspired us to do it. I thought, wait a minute. The 1931 movies, Dracula and Frankenstein, are going to go public domain. Yes, we all know that Dracula and Frankenstein monster are already public domain, but it's going to draw more attention if it's the actual classic Universal looks. And
yeah, I see. Yeah,
and so we decided to do that. And Eric, this guy was so nervous about directing it, and I said, well, people have been waiting almost 100 years to see this fight,
So why not? And
Go for it.
And we did cast the monster, and he's an actor who's nearly 8 feet tall.
Oh my God.
Exactly. He is perfect.
Well, he is 7'7".
Wow, that's amazing.
Local
How is a human being that tall?
Local actor.
There isn't many.
Oh my God, that's huge.
And that's why he's perfect. It's because,
He
he's
is.
going to tower over everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, and he's actually the world's tallest actor. So
Is he?
and he's right here in Kansas.
I was gonna say, can you
Oh my
imagine
God.
you next to him, Chuck?
I'm 4'10".
Oh my gosh. And so imagine you
Yeah.
sitting
Oh
next
my
to
God.
that guy. Like,
Well,
how's the weather up there?
Imagine having you both on screen at the same
Well,
I
time.
know. They wouldn't be able to frame it, would they?
hey, if we
That'd be
cast,
awesome.
hey, if we cast Natasha as the bride, as one of the Dracula's brides or something, we'll take the picture.
We should.
That's funny.
I mean, he could just carry you,
Yeah, you can carry it around.
But
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but no, I mean, that's what I love about when you say you're doing Dracula versus the Frankenstein's monster, and that's actually what we're titling it, not Frankenstein. So, to appease the horror movie fans, and when you say, Eric, what is usually their reaction when you say we're doing Dracula versus the Frankenstein monster? You've seen it before. Oh, and,
Usually that.
and like basing
And
it more on
especially, I'm sorry.
and especially basing it off of the classic look, because Universal, from what our research, I mean, it could. I don't think it's going to change in 2 years.
Doubt it.
They haven't trademarked it, so.
Yeah, and so that iconic look with the flat head and the bolt on his neck, that actually is going to go PD in 2 more years. So,
Wow.
so yeah,
everyone's watching, aren't they? The list of all these public domains expiring, and they're getting ready, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, and
to get first to market, I know. Yeah.
Well, and then there's characters.
Money.
Then it's weird. Then there's characters that are public domain but not public domain that are going to go 100% public domain. Like King Kong, for instance, is going to go public domain in a few years. You know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which King Kong technically is because that there was a book tie-in to the original movie that's in the public domain, but in that King Kong doesn't fall off. Instead, he jumps off of the Empire State Building. So I mean, there's a few things you have to watch out for, and so yeah.
That kind of makes it more of a sad ending, you know, because King Kong kills himself.
That's so sad. But yeah, you know, I guess he sure absolutely did.
So about Godzilla, when's he up?
Oh gosh, that's gonna be a while. I mean, at least in America. Now you said it, I want to do some math.
Which one is he talking about?
Godzilla.
Godzilla goes public domain in 2049.
Oh, it's ages, isn't it?
I'm gonna be old.
Yeah, I might not be it.
So there's well, and then you know,
I hope I am.
One of them that just became public domain this year, Buck Rogers.
What's that?
Oh, really?
Science fiction inspired Star Wars. So one of the questions I always like to ask our guests. So when you win one, what's your speech?
That would be good, wouldn't it? Can you imagine that?
Yeah. So
what was your question? What would we say, or
what's your speech? Because
I've never actually
best nothing. So
never actually thought about that, to be honest. I don't know, probably because I don't think I'll ever win one, but you never know.
No.
Oh, thank you, John. I guess I would think I'd make sure it was a good one. But I've never actually thought about it because I can't see that far ahead yet. I only can see the next few years, you know, in entertainment. Mm-hmm. And if I do get to where I want to get to, which is quite far in this industry, that'll be something I think about further along the line. I do understand as well, if you ever were lucky enough to even be nominated for such an award, you'd have to be exceptional. And I'd have to do a hell of a lot of improving to get to that level. But it's not impossible. It's just it'd take a long time.
Well, just don't slap another actor.
Oh yeah.
that and also keep your hands off of his wife. Man, like that has become such a meme.
Well, it's like, listen, I get it, but it was that's the thing about, I could safely say about at least my own country now. We've become softies. Like, it was a joke he made, you know? You don't find it funny.
What's happened in America regarding the fallout of that? Is it still talked about, or is it forgotten about now? It
is. I mean, I definitely do see memes about it, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, a lot of these memes are really, really funny. Like, there actually is one, like, where there's a dinosaur running towards Will Smith, and then he slaps it down.
All right.
Well, I guess it's been talked about, not as much, but like, it's kind of become more of a punchline now. Like, obviously, like, we just do it now, you know. But you know, it's like now the joke is we're calling him Will Slap instead of Will Smith. I mean, so it's just like, you know, it's like, Will, I like you, but you know, I mean, come on, you know.
Now, and as far as you getting that award goes, I mean, as long as you believe in yourself, you can achieve anything.
Yeah. So what's Natasha's speech? When she wins one.
Pardon? When I win one.
Yes.
My speech, do you know what? I haven't thought that far either. I guess I kind of try my best not to plan things like that in my head. Like, when I do interviews, if people say, do you want to know the questions or not, usually I'm like, no, because I know if I try and rehearse what I'm going to say, it'll be too rehearsed. I like to just say things, and usually then it comes from like within or whatever.
Right.
So I guess I would say something about how I'm grateful, how the opportunity came around, and I'd probably just base it on like charities I support and like how people can help and stuff like that. I guess very boring, but
I remember mine because it was a now it was when I wanted to be a director. Now I'm wanting to be more the behind the scenes producer type, because I realized my heroes in the industry were with the Walt Disneys, the Louis B. Mayers, the Carl Laemmle's, the guy who ran the studio. But hey, there's always when Best Picture wins, then I can get mine. I wrote it when I was 16 because it was a school assignment. So Eric has heard it 10,000 times, but I said I would like to thank my friends and family, the guys who sit there and said that this would never happen. And I have it in parentheses, look directly into the main camera, so I'm breaking the fourth wall to the audience.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank my lovely wife, Megan. 16, Megan Fox.
Oh yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Not a bad choice.
Because every 16-year-old boy at that time definitely had a crush on Megan Fox. And if anyone says they didn't, I call BS.
I mean, somebody sit there and told me, like Eric said, bullshit. I mean, there for a while, she was the Hollywood it girl. So,
She was.
And, and
she's still really pretty, isn't she, Megan Fox?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
she is.
She is. And, but.
So, I guess question for you two. If you two were to do a Viral Haunt sequel, I mean, without trying to get into spoilers for the movie, if you two were to do a sequel to it, what kind of route would you two want to go down?
Well, that's well. Firstly, we would love to make a sequel, won't we? I think that's probably might be the next film we make. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we've both got different ideas at this stage, haven't we? We've wrote out like a couple of different ways it could go. I think my idea was better, Chuck. So we might have to. Yeah, we need to talk about it. To be fair, we need to spend more time on it, don't we?
Yeah.
We've just been throwing some ideas around.
Yeah, we've got some different ideas for it, haven't we? Like Steve's written some, I've written some. I'm not like obsessed with my ideas anyway, so if we did go with Steve's idea, I wouldn't be like heartbroken.
But to be fair, it is early days, but I'd still want to push the influencer thing. Obviously, I'd want to explain the events of the first film, so it makes sense. Not that I don't think it's overly complicated anyway, but it might be a very interesting start to the film. Like people might be in the film and people will be like, what's this character doing in the film? Do you know what I mean? Like, because something happened to that character in the last one, how could he still be in this one? Just like little things, and we might glue it together. We'd want to bring some people back from the first one in one way or another. We'd definitely like to do it again, wouldn't we? Definitely. We had a great time doing the film. And it might be, to be honest, it might not be in our hands, really. It's up to the executive producers. If they really like it, I'm sure they'll say straight away, can you do another one? If they didn't, then we'd just look at doing something else, won't we? But I think they're going to like it. I'm quite confident.
I'm 99% sure they're going to ask for a sequel.
You could almost do like how there are certain YouTubers that basically how, the influence of social media has basically become a new version of cocaine for them,
Yeah.
Because they're so, like, I watch, without mentioning names, but, he has the biggest following ever on YouTube. If you watch interviews with him, it's like YouTube is his cocaine, and social media is his cocaine. You know, and the psychological effects that has on somebody. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
that does make sense. Yeah.
Because you know, I mean, hey, social media is awesome. I mean, we would have talked to people all the way in the UK and make these great connection with them. But you also have to have a life yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And
of course.
you know,
but yeah, there is a lot of people that are insanely into social media. I'm definitely not really that one. You wouldn't think it probably, but honestly, I don't really do that much. I don't really. I'm constantly working, mate. I'm one of them types. But I know what you mean. Some people post stuff, don't they? And they want to get as many likes as possible. And I think that's a bit of a trap, innit? If you start living your life like that.
And well, and like, I mean, I have an Instagram. I just don't, you know, even search for some of my business. I know that's a risk, but it's a risk I'm taking not to risk it. I don't promote it, you know, and you know, because I don't want that many followers. You know, I want to just message people and that's it. Because you know, you have to, you got to think of your, you know, just not have, you know, all that stuff, because you know those views. I mean, Eric, you can even kind of testify a little bit. The views kind of get to your head a little bit sometimes, don't they?
Sometimes, but you also could make the argument that it just really varies on the person too. So.
Yeah.
And as long as you're doing something you enjoy, that's all that matters, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Viral hunt, view count.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We'd love it to be a high view count, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
But we'll have to just see what the public think, you know, when it comes out. So.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, never do anything for fame. Do it. It's because it is what makes you happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, hey, sometimes as actors, you know, you got to take the jobs because you needed to pay groceries. So
that is fair, and you know, and pay your bills and pay for, you know, car insurance, because that's not going to pay for itself.
Yes, it will.
Definitely would. I mean, it definitely would be nice.
Yes. Because come on, if we were all Jedis, we would totally just do that. To tell the yes, my bill has been paid.
That would be awesome. And so without spoiling too much about the movie, because it's not out yet, how was the filming experience like?
I think it was really, really positive for everyone, whether you're an actor, crew member. It didn't matter, did it? It was a really good set. Everyone got on really well. We didn't have any troubles, did we? We planned it really well, didn't we?
No, it was amazing. Everyone really got on.
Yeah. And also, everyone was really nice, weren't they, as well? You know, everyone was wanting to help out and stuff. Everyone was being positive. It was quite nice, actually, because literally within 1 or 2 days in, obviously, when you're on these sets, you're meeting some people for the first time. We didn't know everyone, did we, on this film?
No.
And it was nice to see, actually, everyone getting on well, and, you know, getting to know people very quickly, obviously.
Yeah.
We're all living together. So, yeah, it was just a really good experience. It's an experience we both wanted, wasn't it, as well? We wanted to direct a film. We wanted to produce. The fact that we were doing everything was a good challenge, wasn't it? It's a good challenge.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wanted the challenge, and I would say everyone on that set had a good time. What do you reckon? Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I would
think so.
100% agree with that. Everyone had fun. Everyone that I spoke to told me they had fun, and even just in their work ethic and like how people were around set, because we were so easygoing with how we were like running it. Everyone was having fun. No one was like, oh, I'm stressed about this, or oh, I've been told off, or oh, this has happened. We were running everything so like nicely, and we were being so positive and uplifting, and we were like messing around with people and having a laugh, and we were just making sure that we cared about everyone, and I think that reflected on everyone's work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And I mean, nobody ever wants to go onto a set where they're gonna feel like crap. And I mean, people want to go have fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, essentially, of what movies are. You're basically just being a child again. You're playing make believe again.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that kid. That guy that sits there and said, like, I don't know, you can't be a king. I'm a king, or something like that. You can't be that kid. Just create the those, and it reflects back in the movie too. If once you once the audience kind of knows that, oh, these two actors didn't get along, it kind of breaks that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously being the producers as well, we had the responsibility of being professional and also making sure everything was planned like correctly. Everything moved. Like if the DOP needed something, I was going to be there for him. If there was lots of moving parts on the film, and we had to make sure it's all well and good having a great time, which we did, didn't we? And letting everyone feel comfortable, but we still had to deliver the product. We still had to make sure, from a professional point of view, everything was going to be as good as we could make it. And I think the reason why we could have a good time on the set was because we planned everything well before we got there. Obviously, we went to visit all the locations. We planned it all out, and we had a good team of people. It wasn't just us. We had some great cast members and crew members helping us out. So, yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Walt Disney, what you just said. Walt Disney, they said what made him such a great businessman, and even really, more of the face of the company, because Roy, his brother, ran more of the business, but what made him a good leader was that if there was a problem, he was a walk-around guy. Meaning if there was a problem, he would walk directly to the building where the problem was, and then he himself would deal with it, not have his, lack of a better phrase, goons deal with it.
Yeah.
And so that's what you need to do as a producer. Even with me trying to help this guy make his movies, it's a work in progress. It
is, yeah.
To be a producer, you have to listen, but also the producer has to make those tough decisions. It's like,
you do.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
And
there was a couple of times where we had to make those decisions because we were conscious about a few things, weren't we? But I think for the most part, everything went to plan. Seamless, almost. You know what I mean?
Right.
But maybe on another film set we'll have more challenges, or something will happen unexpectedly. Maybe we got lucky. I don't know. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. But it just seemed to go well, didn't it? From start to finish.
I think a lot of it's mindset. You got to have the good mindset a little bit. Now plan on what obviously have that in the back of your mind. Something might go wrong, but always just get up and take your shot of whiskey or whatever you drink.
That's a good point, actually. I don't think at any point in that film I didn't think we were going to deliver. Did you? I always thought we were going to smash it out.
Yeah.
We hired the right people, didn't we? That's one of the keys.
That helps too. Hiring the right people. There's been so many examples of, like the original director of Jaws. They hired. I think it was the guy who made Death Wish.
Oh, I did not.
I think it was him. Probably somebody. If I'm wrong, they're going to sit there and leave an angry comment. In the chat. The keyboard warriors. I think it was that guy who they originally hired, but when they heard that he wanted to make Jaws more like Moby Dick and all this other stuff, the directors fired him, and they took a risk on a guy who was 27 years old, named Steven Spielberg, you know, and
Right,
look how that turned out.
And the rest is history. And, you know, and that proves that sometimes that taking that risk is the better option.
And look at the making of Jaws. I mean, Jaws was a nightmare to make.
Yeah.
It did amazing, didn't it, Jaws?
Yes,
And it
yes.
did. And on top of that, what I feel like is a very valuable lesson learned out of the making of Jaws, sometimes you have to go through hell in order to get to that light at the end of the tunnel. Because I mean, Spielberg said that making Jaws was so miserable that now I don't know how accurate this is, but he actually he's actually still dealing with the aftermath of it to this very day. And it came out 50 years ago now, and he's still dealing with the aftermaths.
Well,
but hey,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I even said that, you know, with the advent of The Offer now, they actually should make a movie about the making of Jaws.
They should. They really should.
That's even something that we talked about. And, you know, sometimes as a producer, you know, they can't come up with the title, so you got to think, you know, use your brainstorm session. And I came up with a pretty good title. Eric?
Hell in the Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that is the perfect title because making that movie sure was hell.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, you know, that damn shark never worked. Spielberg got fired every day, but then they sent the dailies. And Robert Shaw, you know, hey, this is what I've heard. I've heard back in that day, a lot of British actors had to spend a little too much time at the pub.
Oh, really?
Well, Robert Shaw was drunk during that entire.
I was not aware of that.
He hung out with Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton and all those guys who were just drunks. And the guy that outdrank them all is still living, Anthony Hopkins.
Huh. That's interesting.
They said that Anthony Hopkins would actually outdrink Oliver Reed, and Oliver Reed was a notorious drunk. And I'm like, how is it that he's the one that outlived them all?
That's impressive.
I mean, Eric, maybe it is that autism, right? Maybe that helped him some way.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but you know, if you two could give advice to anybody pursuing the entertainment industry, what advice would you give them?
In regards to what they want to just get into it as an actor or anything at all?
Yeah, like either acting, directing, or
I mean, I only probably can say from my experience, and I don't know if my experience is the right way to go about it, but I sort of threw myself into acting. I just made the decision to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like to go to acting school. As soon as I got to acting school, I was like, within the first few weeks, obviously I was awful, but within the first few weeks, I was like, right, what do I need to get work? And then I would be told, oh, you need to get a show reel, you need to get this, you get that. So I got a show reel very quickly. And then I started applying to agents, and I must have sent, I don't know, about 50 emails out. One agent gets back to me. So I've got an agent, and this was very quick. And then started getting a bit of work. And I was just taking anything, like, and there'll be people out there that say this might not be the right thing to do, but I was like just taking lots of small parts in films, whatever I could get, because I just saw it as building experience on the job, so to speak. And I continued to go to acting school, and I was just getting, and then. Yeah, I think it was just that. I saw it as just an experience exercise. I was never doing it for money, financial gain or anything. Obviously, I was just doing it because I wanted to see how much experience I could get. And then from there, I think it developed into new ideas, and then thinking, oh, I quite like to make my own film, or I'd quite like to direct a film. And that's the journey I went on to get to this point. And now I'm thinking it'd be good to make something big. That's where I'm up to. At some point, obviously, I'm patient. I'm not like in a massive rush, but that was my journey.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you, Tash?
Well, I was gonna say,
mine was, I think, the complete opposite, probably.
Okay, interesting.
I didn't go to acting school. I did like training in my school, so I went to like a public school, and I did like drama and stuff in school, and I was gonna go and do drama in like A levels and then uni, but I didn't in the end. So I was just kind of working other jobs for a while. I always wanted to do acting, but then I kind of like put it on the back burner. And then I had my daughter, and literally one day I was randomly like, okay, right, I want to make some friends because I love meeting people and I'm really social. And I was like, okay, I want to make friends. How can I do that? And my mum was like, why don't you do some acting? And I was like, okay. So then it sounds so weird, but that's literally what happened. And then I was like, okay. So then it was about a week or 2 weeks. I was applying for jobs, self-taping and stuff. And then I applied for Winnie the Pooh within that 2 weeks, got it. And then from then, obviously, I went on and did more films. Same as Steve, I wasn't really picky with what I was getting at first. I was kind of like, again, I was like learning on the job and stuff. But also, as I said, I was literally doing it to make friends. So every time I went on a job, it was like, oh, how many friends can I make here? These people were really nice. I'm so excited. It was never about the money. And it wasn't
Right.
even really about the making of the film. It was just about having fun. And I had so much fun. And then I did quite a few. And obviously, I have a 4-year-old. So I kind of got a bit homesick. And it was like I was missing too much of everything at home. So then I stopped acting completely because I was like, I need a break. I need a break. And then I started acting again. But when I started acting again, I was a lot more picky then with it. So I'll make sure that it's a job that I really want to do, because like doing horror movies is great. I love it and it's so much fun, but it's also really like demanding emotionally. And obviously, because I'm a woman, there's a lot of crying that needs to happen on screen. So I'll be killed, or my friend will be killed, or I'm being chased and I'm constantly crying and going, do you know what I mean? So it's very like, it's hard on you physically and it's hard on you emotionally, because you have to like bring up them sad emotions, and sometimes I'll get like nightmares and stuff, and it's hard sometimes. So I make sure now to only do a job that I know I'm going to enjoy doing, so it's kind of like worth the emotional toll, and I'm not away from my daughter just for a job that I'm not going to enjoy, if that makes sense. And obviously,
Right.
I'm at the same point now that led to me meeting Steve, which led to us making films. And now I'm at the same point as Steve again. I'm hoping to make a really big film.
But yeah, I would say as well, for people starting out, when you're on a movie set, even if you've got a tiny little part in a film, you'll meet people on the set that might lead to your next job. You'll make loads of contacts. People on the movie set might be a producer and an actor, or they could be a director and actor, and they might see you and go, and then contact you out of the blue 3 months, 6 months, even a year later, and go, oh, I really enjoyed working with that person. And then they might be offering you work. It's without realizing it, you're networking on a job. So that was another thing I thought of when I first got into acting. I was throwing myself into these jobs because I just thought, this is experience. And then, I don't know, like there could be a production going on and someone drops out the last minute, and they're like, people are going, oh, who could, and then the producers might ask the cast, do you know anyone that could fill this role? Oh yeah, I know this person. And then you might get, it's obviously only for people that have come up my way, because if I was young, for example, and I really wanted to be an actor, I probably would go through, some of the big acting schools and not go on my journey. But I jumped into this middle-aged. So yeah, I was playing catch up, if you like. So
well,
yeah.
What it kind of just reminds me of Chaz Palminteri when he made The Bronx Tale. This guy did a one-man show. Everybody loved the one-man show. I mean, he had like, I think, $111 in his bank account, and
Wow.
turned down a $1 million offer to, say, hey, we want to make the movie. but he wanted to play the part of Sonny, which is the mobster. And everybody says no. And he kept on turning it down until he got that call from Robert De Niro, and it was his first directing job, and Robert De Niro gave him his shot. And he always says on his podcast, your net worth is your net worth.
Yep.
So, and
100%.
you just gotta have that.
Yep.
He always says on his podcast too, if you really want to be an actor, go for it. But it just think that if you really need this, if you don't have this, you're gonna die. That's how you feel about it. You got to go for it. And
yeah, exactly. Because life is way too short to not go do what you love, and so you might as well should.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Are there any more upcoming projects that you're allowed to talk about that you would want my audience to be aware
of? From my point of view, there's no films yet, but I'm sure there will be over the next few months. If you were interested if any of your audience are interested in what we're doing as a business, we are on Instagram. It's instagram.com/TAWE Limited, or TAWE Ltd, actually. But in terms of acting, in terms of acting, me and Tasha have got a film coming out anytime now called Mouse of Horrors, which she mentioned before. You've got Mouseboat Massacre, that'll be coming.
Oh, great. Great. Another Mickey Mouse horror movie.
Another Mickey Mouse. And then we've got one we were both in not long ago, was it? That's coming out this year, called Hook.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do it. Mickey, with all these Mickey Mouse horror movies, you guys all just need to team up. Mickey Mouse Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes! Yes!
Just
do it!
All the Mickey Mouses in every horror movie just fight each other, right?
Yes! I would pay good money to see that. And what I think would be even funnier is if, like, I just thought of this as, like, the Thanos equivalents. What if it was, like, the horror version, like, of Winnie the Pooh? That would be awesome. I am inevitable, and I am Mickey Mouse.
No. I got someone better.
What?
It's already in the public domain.
What?
This Thanos should be Satan.
Satan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just have Satan get angry that there's so many Mickey Mouse horror movies, and I think that you gotta have a bit of fun with that idea. It's a bunch of Mickey Mouses fighting each other. So
that sounds awesome.
You gotta have fun with it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Life is too short.
Just have fun.
You never know. We might do that next.
No. If you two are allowed to talk about it, do you know when Viral Haunt's going to be released?
Well, it'd be up to executive producers, but I'm going to probably, if you want me to guess, I'd probably say late summer, around that time, maybe. But ultimately, obviously, it's up to them how long they want to promote it for. But the film, from our point of view, should be complete by March, and then it'll be up to them to decide. I'd be surprised if it wasn't this year. It should be this year, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't think it'll be too far away.
Well, say if it is late summer, that actually would be kind of impeccable timing because it's around then when I plan to move. And then in that case, Viral Haunt actually might be one of the last movies that I will watch before that I move. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. It'd be good to see what you think of it as well.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Well, I guess if and I don't know if it'll premiere theaters in the U.S. I hope it does in our area. If it doesn't, then we'll be sure to, we'll do a watch party.
Exactly.
On Tubi or something, right?
Yeah, and then afterwards, I could have you both on for a Q&A, and we could go live, and then can have all of my subscribers, ask you all questions about it. So yeah,
that'd be awesome. Yeah, thank you.
If if we go
Yeah, of course.
live, we cannot be held responsible for any troll comments.
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all
Or,
right.
or the stupid. I have to censor how I say this, but we can't be held responsible even for the corno bots that come on.
Oh gosh.
No, it's fine. I understand. I know what some people are like. Yeah, it's cool.
Yes. Well,
Yeah. Unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they're, in the words of Red Foreman, they're just dumbasses.
Yeah. Short, sweet, and simple, and to the point.
Yep.
Exactly. So, but yeah, thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to be here. And yeah, and soon as the movie's out, I don't know when it will be out, but as soon as it's out, I definitely will be sure to give it a watch.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll be sure to leave a link in the description for your Instagram, so and then that way people can follow you.
Thank
also,
you.
Anytime.
Also, if anybody's interested, Eric and I do have merchandise through poppoptees.com. We are still working on the UK stuff. We're a US-based company, so new startup company. But we have merchandise. If anybody in the US is interested, poppoptees.com. I guess if you guys really want a shirt, we'll find some way to send it to you. So.
All righty.
Awesome.
All righty. Well, thank you both, and you all have a fantastic day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
All righty. See you later.
See you later.
We will talk soon.
Bye-bye.